Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in this early in the morning. Couldn't really sleep, so I figured that I would go ahead and cover this case since I'm awake. After the last live, I had done another load of laundry and was taking down notes for little Breasia. And being at home, in the privacy of my own home, I figured I would get comfortable. But when I went to run upstairs for something, I didn't realize that the mountain lion of a cat that I have had opened the curtains out front. She pulled the curtains back, and I had closed them earlier. So whoever was in my neighbor's driveway got a free peep show. That's all I'm gonna say. It was not intentional. Hence is why she's still locked up. Hey Yellow, what you doing up? Dang it, and I just shared the story of what the cat made me do. Um so pretty much, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't sleep, so I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and take some notes and cover this right now. I might as well since I'm up. Um all right, so the mountain lion did that. I think she's having an identity crisis. But she thinks she's a dog, a mountain lion, a human. But anyway, let's get into it. So this is precious little Breasia Terrell, who went missing on July 10th of 2020. Um, she she was very close to her 8-year-old brother at the time. I'll just abbreviate his name as DL, or maybe Dink. That was a nickname that he had. Um, so his father came to pick him up to spend some time with him, and he wanted for his sister to come along with him. And at first, Henry was reluctant to allow her to come, but her brother had such a deep love for her that he finally said, okay, fine. There was a 13-year-old brother that was there, but he said he didn't have enough room in his car to take him. So on goes, Breasia and her brother, Dink, her 8-year-old brother, with, that's her stepfather, DL, was his biological son. Okay. So just a few facts about Breasia. She was impaired as far as some of her sight and her hearing. She was a heavy sleeper, and she was always a truth teller, meaning she was a tattletale. So amongst the siblings, you know, she knew what was right and what was wrong, and if she saw something that wasn't right, she would tell. Okay. Um, all right. So let's move on from beautiful Breasia. Um, let's look at Henry. Let's look at him. I have a few cards or notes or whatever here. Let's look at him. Okay. Um, so 48-year-old male, history of SA when he was 17. Okay, he was 17. He's been in and out of jail since 1990. Now, get this, he was released 4 months prior to the incident of Breasia missing in July of 2020. We'll also go into how during the interview of her missing, he would not give any time frame. He wouldn't give a timeline. He didn't remember his phone number, his cell phone number. I know that, nowadays with technology, we can just tap and dial away, but he didn't remember his cell phone number. He didn't remember anything of that day. Now, this interview took place the same day. This was like that afternoon that she came up missing. So basically, he was just killing time. Killing time. All right. I have more notes on him, but I'm just going to set that aside. let's look at Breasia's mother. Let's look at her. Here we go. Okay. This is Aisha Langford. She took the stand. She was going through some hard times, so she had moved back in with her mother, and I have a photo of her as well. She moved back in with her mother, and she had been working doubles, trying to, stack up money to go back out on her own with her children, her 3 children. So Breasia was in the middle. She was the middle, and she had an older son and a younger son. Dink, or DL, was the 8-year-old, and CS was the 13-year-old. I'm telling y'all, I've followed this case like all the way through. Okay. She was trying her best to, make ends meet and everything. So now we'll go back to her in a second, but now this is the grandmother. Okay. This is grandmom. So when Henry Dinkins went to pick up his son, he went to the grandmother's house because that's where Aisha was staying at the time. That's where she was staying with her children. She didn't hear the conversation that her son and what Henry had in the beginning, with him saying, well, no, but, her brother, DL, which my heart goes out to him, he was very adamant that his sister come along with him because they were very, very close. He was very close to her. So the grandmother said, okay, all right, now she didn't let, this is grandma, right? She didn't let the mother know until her lunch break. Mom worked at Checkers. She worked at Checkers, high volume of productivity going on there. So on her lunch breaks, like, she would call home and talk to her mom. So the grandmother let the mom know on her lunch break that, Breasia had went along with Henry Dinkins with his son. And she said, okay, so what she did was, when she got off of work that evening, she packed up a bag of pajamas for Breasia, and she went to the parking lot of the apartment complex where he lived, where he was staying with his girlfriend, and, dropped off the bag of clothes. And she also brought the puppy that they have. So Breasia was happy to see the puppy. Anyway. She dropped off those clothes. Right? So while they were at the house, Breasia was in the bedroom of the girlfriend, playing video games in there. And her brother, Dink, was in the other room. He was in the living room playing video games. This is the girlfriend that he was staying with at the time. And her testimony aligned with DL, with her little brother. That, actually the girlfriend and DL were in the living room, but Henry was in the bedroom with Breasia. Say he was watching her play the game. Now her brother didn't understand, like, why is he, he brought me here to, spend time with me, but why is he in the room with my sister? But, he said the door was open. He was in there spending time with her. So later on that night, he and his sister, the bathroom was, you had to go into they were in a 1-bedroom apartment of the girlfriend. So, and the bathroom was in her bedroom. So you had to go, into the bedroom to shower, to take a bath, whatever, use the bathroom. So the 2 kids, they took separate showers, and They went to bed. Now Breasia was the first one to go to sleep, and she's a heavy sleeper. Remember, she's a heavy sleeper. And so DL's dad, he was like, all right, you got another hour or so to play your game. You know how kids are playing the games and stuff like that. And he was like, you got another hour or so, and then, you got to go to bed too. Okay. So he did. Now, DL was the last one that fell asleep. Henry and his girlfriend fell asleep on the air mattress in the living room. Okay. Later on that night, her brother was awakened by his sister kicking him. She kicked him really hard. And he said, ouch or whatever. Didn't know why. When he woke up, he realized that his sister was not in the bed anymore. And he started to cry. Okay. So the girlfriend woke up to use the bathroom. So she went, into their bedroom to use the restroom. She didn't have her glasses on, but she noticed that there's only one kid in the bed. She felt around the bed to make sure she could, was seeing right, because she didn't have her glasses on. And that's when she noticed that Breasia was not there. Okay. At this point, it was 3:00 in the morning. Okay. So she goes back out into the living room and she wanted to call him, but she realized that he left his cell phone in the apartment. He left his cell phone in her apartment. This one right here, Andrea. He left his cell phone there. So there was no way that she could call Henry and be like, where are you at? Like, where's Brie? Like, what's going on? She couldn't call him. He left his phone there. So she sat in the living room in the dark, she said. She didn't turn on any lights. She sat there in the dark to wait and see when he would return. When he did return, she said that it was quiet. He quietly opened the door. He quietly crept up the steps and went back into the bedroom, into one of the closets. The bedroom had 2 closets. He went back into one of the closets. She went and looked out the window, y'all. And she saw Breasia standing next to his car. She wasn't in her pajamas that her mother had dropped off. She was in one of his t-shirts. One of his oversized 4X. That's the size of his t-shirt. She was in one of his t-shirts, standing next to the car. Okay. This is at this point, it was 3:30 in the morning. So he goes into the closet, gets whatever, conceals it, she said, and goes back out. That was the last time that she saw Breasia alive. That's the last time that anyone saw Breasia alive. Standing next to that car in that oversized t-shirt. He returns back to the house. His son remembered him being upset because someone had drank his orange juice. That's what he was upset about. So, okay, let's fast forward. So he picks up his son. And the son eventually testified that he took his son also down to the pond where Breasia was eventually found. But before they went to that pond, he went to Walmart left his son in the car, had taken the battery out of his cell phone, left his son in the car, went into Walmart, and purchased 2 jugs of bleach. The son plugged the battery back into the phone so that he could play some games on the phone, which actually was a blessing in disguise because that's what showed a ping from Henry Jenkins' cell phone, which is why the detectives went ahead, to Walmart and asked to have footage during that window of time. When he saw his father coming out of the store, he took the battery back out and put the phone back in and, laid it back down as if, he wasn't playing games on there. But when he did hook it back up, that's what helped the ping show the location, which also helped with the detectives to gather camera footage from people's Ring doorbells and everything of this man right here driving back and forth, pretty much covering up what he had just done. He didn't call Aisha until 8 something that morning. Now remember, his girlfriend saw Breasia standing next to the car. Why didn't he bring her back in? We don't know. But there is camera footage of him going to, apparently he had a camper some miles away in a lot. And that's where he had went for about 35-40 minutes with Breasia. Don't know what happened in that window of time when he was there. But that's where they were. And then he went and filled up his tank because he needed to have enough gas to go further out of the city to the pond where he dumped her body, to where he popped her 3 times. Okay. And after the pond was searched, a revolver was found. 6 rounds that revolver holds. 3 were missing. Can't say it's just a coincidence. Okay. So hold on, let me try and stay on track here. Okay. So when he tried to report that Breasia might have went to go play with somebody, might have went to go and play and find new friends and all that, that was impossible to really, that can be ruled out because the way that Breasia was, the type of person she was, the way that her mother, her brothers, her grandmother knew that she would not just go outside in the middle of the night and find somebody to play with in the middle of the night. She was the first one that fell asleep at night. During the police interview, he tried to insist that maybe she had, was trying to find somebody to play with. He again, he didn't remember anything. He didn't remember his phone number. He didn't know his girlfriend's address. He didn't know the address of where his camper was. He didn't know any of that. He had no idea of anything. Which, I mean, it just goes to prove that he was trying to prolong time so that she wasn't found, right? And again, that was the kid's first time staying at his girlfriend's apartment, his new girlfriend's apartment. That was their first time there. So Breasia would have never went and walked out in the middle of the night to find friends to play with. She didn't have any friends out there. Now, here's another strange thing that happened. When the officer showed up, this is from the body cam of the police officer. when he went into the apartment of his girlfriend, and he said, "Hey, I lost one of my kids last week." You know, kids hide. Honestly, I'm guilty of doing it. I did that as a kid. I hid in my parents' closet, and when they came home and was looking for me, I didn't answer. I didn't come out. It wasn't until the police. I thought my mom was joking when she was on the phone calling for the police to come and report me missing. But apparently, I met the officer in the living room when I finally decided to come and crawl out of the closet. So, anyway, he said, "Hey, I was missing a kid last week. Let me, is it okay for me to go and look through here again?" So the girlfriend was kind of hesitant at first. She was like, "Oh, it's kind of a mess up here." He's like, "When you're looking at that, like, we just want to see." He just wanted to go through. Okay, fast forward. When he left out of the apartment, this guy right here was gone. He left. He left. The officer proceeded to call him numerous times on his cell phone. Did he answer? Mm-mm. He did not answer the phone. The officer sent him text messages. He did not answer that either. Why? Why not? Why not? Don't you want to find this little girl? Like, how can you just leave? Like, you just up and leave like that? Okay. Hey, Arshawn, what's up? Much love to you. Yeah, that's what I say too. Throw away the damn key, for real. So, okay. So there's search teams and everything out there looking for Breasia. The sad part is that they were not paying attention to what her baby brother was saying. They weren't really listening to him. They weren't listening to what her 8-year-old brother was saying. Of course, he was a little bit, obnoxious and stuff. I listened to all his testimony, his interviews and everything. It's very painful to know that he had to take the stand. He's 11. He's 11 now. It's unfortunate he had to take the stand because the cross examination was disgusting. It was painful to watch. This man right here, this man right here, next to the monster, he was the defense attorney, and he questioned that little boy, making him feel as though, trying to make it appear as though he was lying. But everything that he said happened. He described the location of where this man was in the Camaro, in that burgundy car. He described watching him drench a machete in bleach, clean it off with bleach. He also witnessed him getting his car pulled out because it got stuck in the mud when he was trying to drive that car down like an idiot, drive it down to the pond where he popped his sister 3 times. From the front. So she was hit from the front. She saw what was coming. It's unfortunate. The poor child. And so, of course, as an 8-year-old, so what the defense was trying to argue is that, oh, what, now you want to say you saw it? Like, now you want to say you were there? He was there. Because if you go back and look at the interview that he did with the detectives and everything, he was trying to describe, but I mean, like, as an 8-year-old, and also going through a traumatic episode like this, of course he's afraid. He also said in the interview that he was told that Henry told him, "I'll take you out too." Of course he was afraid. He didn't want to tell. Of course not. I can understand it as an 8-year-old. So how can so much pressure be put on an 8-year-old to say, "Oh, why are you just now saying that?" Well, one of the interviews that they had done with him, he said he's going to be in jail forever because he's a monster. He's an ugly monster. And that was the way that he looked at his own, that's his biological father that took out his sister, and he saw that happen. And everything that that little boy said lined up. So this case is different because there is no jury. This is what you call a bench trial. So everything rests upon the judge. So even the opening statements that the state gave, the defense didn't want to give an opening statement. So yeah, everything rests on the judge. So right now, the final, and I put everything in the description box as far as the arguments, the interviews with Henry that he did with the police, the way he said that his car, he lended his car out to someone, which was a lie because his car was parked right around the corner from the station. All that I have in the description box. I also have the testimony of her brother, Briasia's brother. I have the testimony of him in the description box as well if you want to listen to that. I commend him for, I can't imagine being on the stand like that, but he did such an amazing job. And he spoke up to the defense attorney that was trying to dismantle his testimony and try to imply that he was making up a story or trying to imply that he was adding on saying that he was there, because that little boy was there. His initial statements to the detectives, even the child detectives for children, he described the whole location of where she was, but he wasn't able to say, okay, it was on this road right here, you turn here, he wasn't able to give that. But when you piece it all together, when you see all of the footage on the highway cameras, everything, they have all of that. Y'all, I'm telling you, it's all broken down. The evidence is there. And so now we're just waiting on the judge to come back with his ruling. Because again, there is no jury in this case, and that's my first time watching a case like this. I love watching court cases, so but yeah, my heart just goes out to her, watching the body cam of the mom, her mother, so upset and distraught. The rescue teams that were looking for her. So what happened was, when she was found, okay, so she went missing July 10th. That's when it happened. She was missing July 10th, right? July 10th of 2020. Her body wasn't found until March of 2021, okay? 3 fishermen went down to go fishing, and one of them saw a skull in the distance, but he didn't want to go any further. Like, he didn't want to walk over there to see, right? And one of his friends was like, man, this is a prank. Like, y'all, we come out here to fish, but like, is this a prank? Like, is this a joke? Like, he didn't believe it. When his friends went and picked up the skull, and he testified as well. And he was like, he immediately put it back down, and he was like, no, this is real. Because then he saw the ribs, I'm telling y'all, it was just skeletal remains that was left of that little girl, this beautiful little girl. That's all that was left. And her hair. You see the shells in her hair? You see that? Her hair and the shells, the seashells that she has in her hair. That's what was there with her bones. Yeah. Very little bit of tissue was left. I mean, in Iowa, you're out there in July, still summer, hot summer. She was there for 3 seasons, and so that's all that was left of her. her hair, bones, and it was some flesh that was around one of her legs and the arm, or like an elbow or whatever. That's all that was left of flesh. It was mummified. That's it. Of this beautiful 10-year-old. All because whatever he did to her, whatever it was that he did to her, can't imagine her last few moments of life. But he was trying to erase it. Two inmates also testified, and they are not given immunity for their whatever they were convicted of. They were not given immunity, and they came and testified against him because it came on the TV, and in Gen Pop, it came on TV, the case of her missing. This is when she was still missing because he was locked up again on something. They were holding him, and he made statements to two inmates and said, "She'll never be found. They ain't gonna find her." That's what he said. That's what he thought. He thought he scared his son enough to never say a word. But thankfully he did. Thankfully it all added up. They testified against him for no immunity. They still got to do their sentencing out. So that speaks volumes. This fisheye pool right here. He's a walking nightmare. So, all right, I don't even want to. So, all of that being said of what I've discussed, I've heard some say that it's the mother's fault. I'm trying to understand, like, how is that possible that it's her fault that this happened? She was at work. Her mother was keeping the children while she was at work. She didn't find out until she was on her lunch break. Did she think that he would do this? Now, the assault charge that he had, he was 17. Now, he was 21 years her senior. I don't know. Would I have gone, instead of dropping off her pajamas, would I have just gone and picked up my daughter? Yes, I would have. But, like her little brother was so adamant, and like grandmother and everything testified, she's the truth teller. So if she sees something ain't right, she gonna tell. She gonna talk about it. So I don't know. Like, it's that part is kind of tough. Yes, she was born in 91. He was born in 72. Am I doing the math right? No, it's it's a couple years off. Either way, she was born. Hold on, let me pull her back up. 1991. Aisha was born in 91. And if I remember correctly, he was born in 72. Okay, 19 years. This still that I took is when the mother packed up her son. She got upset because like he wasn't giving her even offer, even right here when the officer pulled up. Officer's like, okay, what's your phone number? Oh, I don't know. Let me look at my phone. Hold on, I don't know. You don't know your phone number? Okay, well, where were you going? Oh, I was driving around. I was driving around looking for it. Okay, where do you drive around to? I don't know. All of his responses, his answers, I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know what my address is. I don't know where my girlfriend lives. I don't know her address. I don't know what time it was. I don't know. What he didn't mention is him going to get those 2 gallons of bleach from Walmart. He didn't mention that. I guess he forgot about that too, right? But thankfully, like I said, his son put that battery back into the phone, which made it ping. And that's when they said, "Oh, hold up, what's up here? Oh, the parking lot of Walmart. Okay, let's collect that." And there he is walking with a shopping cart through Walmart with 2 jugs of bleach, and went to the self checkout. What did he do to that little girl? Hmm. He knew whatever he did, he couldn't bring her back. That's why he made her stand outside of the car when he showed back up to the apartment. That's why when the girlfriend looked out the window, she saw Breasia standing next to the car. He didn't bring her back in. Now, her brother, in his testimony, and also in the interview with the detective, um, when he said she kicked him really hard, and that's what woke him up because she never wakes up in the middle of the night. So he said he peeked outside of the bedroom door and saw her walking down the stairs with Henry Dinkins. And he was asked, could you hear what they were talking about? Like, were they saying anything? Was he saying anything? Of course, he was talking about cars to her. It seemed as though he was telling her, I want to show you another car that I have. Because he had 2 different cars. He had 2 cars. He had an Impala. Made her think that he was going to show her his other car. Instead, he took her to his trailer. Now, there was a man who, so when he went down there by the pond, he tried to drive his car down there like an idiot and got stuck, right? So the man that was supposed to testify, and say that he was the one that used his truck, he was heading to work that day and saw a black man in the middle of the street, like flagging him down. Who was it that was flagging him down, asking for him to help him get out the mud that was down by the pond? This guy, him. He helped pull this man up out of there, not knowing that that's where he dumped that little girl's body. Had no idea. Said he was very friendly. Now, the clothing that he has on right now is the same day that she was missing. He didn't have on his clothing when the man saw him. When the man pulled his car out of the ditch. Yeah. Totally different clothing. He offered to pay him $100. He said no. Now, fortunately, they recorded the interview that the detectives did with this man that pulled him up, because he ended up having a massive heart attack and passed away earlier this year, right before the trial began. July of this year, I believe. I'm sorry, June of this year, he ended up passing away from a heart attack. But thankfully, he was able to give his statement. I mean, case closed. Case closed. He was there. He did it. And even though the place that has the registry for weapons and everything was flooded out, and so they lost their documents in Iowa. I looked into that too. Come on now. That little girl was hit 3 times. One in the face. And okay, so there were no shell casings. What does that do? It was a revolver. I mean, unless I really doubt that he would have time to go and try to, in the dark, because it was still dark at the time, to go and try to find the shell casings, and then to find a revolver in that pond that's right out there with 3 bullets missing, 3 still in there. Come on now. His level of anger when his son testified was disgusting, allowing the defense to try and chew his son apart like that. I'm telling y'all, he was livid. But I'm so thankful that Breasia's brother took the stand. He held himself together. And he even told the defense attorney, "You're making me angry." Because they was trying to make him appear as though he was being a liar. There's no way. Everything connected. All the dots connected from his 8-year-old testimony. All right, y'all. So, on that note, the birds out back are starting to scream and whatnot. It's light outside now. Lord have mercy. So, on that note, I'm gonna go ahead and try to get some rest. I don't know if you guys have any plans for today. I'll make my rounds, see my peoples and see if there's any vegetables I can get out of my dad's garden. And checking on my auntie and everything. But I wish y'all all the best on today. Get some rest. Take it easy. That's what I'm gonna try to do. And stay cool. So again, I will be coming through with more court cases to talk about. It's another one that's like really wacky, but I'm too delirious right now to talk about it. But yeah, I'll definitely be coming back with that. That court case, I think that court case ended 3 weeks ago, but it's still very puzzling. That's some discussion to be had. Yeah. So just stay tuned. Thank you so much for listening to me talk to the air. Make sure that you hit the like button on your way out, subscribe, and share. So thank you so much, and take it easy.